Well, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, whatever time zone you're in or whenever you're watching this. Thank you for joining me. So what I need you to do, as I say all the time, share. Hit that share button now. Hit it right now that people can see what you're seeing and hear what you're hearing. I thank you for joining me because right now on Facebook, on social media, period, you have many options. So when I'm chosen, I take that as an honor. So thank you again. We want to talk to you today about something that pertains to each of us as long as we have breath in our body. And it's, who do you see in the mirror? Oh, come on, you need to say that. Who do I see in the mirror? Who am I looking at? I did an illustrated sermon one time and I talked about what's in the mirror. And I talked about that when we look in the mirror, we're the first and foremost person. There may be others behind us, but we're in the mirror at the forefront of it. So who do you see in the mirror? Do you see a self-made product that you're who you are because that's what you wanted to be? You made the person that you're looking at? Or are you what God intended for you to be? Or are you what man created you to be? So either God made us that way, or we decided on what we wanted to be, or we listened to man and allowed man to form us and make us what they wanted us to be. Who do you see in the mirror? That's something to think about, because so many times we live to please others and not please ourselves. I say this often, but I say it often because there's somebody on here that has not heard it before. So I say it often so many times. Everybody is in front of us and we're in the background somewhere. But there comes a time in life that you better learn to put you first. Take care of you. Who do you see in the mirror? Who are you rocking with? Who do you love? What would you say to that person years ago? I thought about my grandson did an interview with his auntie and he asked her a question. What was, she's 32 now, but he asked her, what would you say to your, I believe he said 10-year-old self or 8-year-old self? And I thought about that for me. What would I say to my yesteryears? What would I say when I was 10? What would I say to that person now? What would I say to me when I was 15? What would I say to the one that was 18 now that I'm in my 60s? What would I say? What would I say to the person at 50 years old, because 60 makes a difference? And I began to think about that. So I thought about it. I would say when I was a child, if I'm able to go back to my childhood to 10 and 12, okay, LaVel, as you grow up, remember, life won't be perfect. That's what I would say, because living in the family home and with my parents and my grandmother, they made life seem perfect, although we know in our mind it's not perfect, but they made it as perfect as they can be. You know, I didn't have parents that argued in front of us. They didn't argue at one another in front of us. I had parents that did whatever they could to give us the best that they could. So if I went back, I would say, you know what? Sometimes we expect our adulthood to be like our childhood. And how many of y'all know that's not going to happen? So in the meantime, I began to think, wow, that's a good question, because a lot of times we need to go back and think about where we came from. What did we learn in that lesson? And what are we learning now about that time? Learning how to realize that you can't trust everybody. Not saying there's some people you can trust, but I'm now talking about those that you can't. Realize everybody is not your friend. There are things that as we look in the mirror, we can go back and think about, man, that changed me. I haven't dealt with some things. I haven't opened up my eyes and accepted some things. What is a saying? And I've been hearing that recently a lot, that when a person shows you who they are, you better believe it. But sometimes in our mind, we form that person to be something other than who they really are. And you know why? Because that's what we want them to be. I want you to be my friend. I believe you're my friend. And all the time, you're stabbing me in the back. I want you to be close to me. But all the time, I'm close to you in my mind, but in your mind, you're not that close to me. So who do you see in the mirror? What would you say to that person of yesteryear? Do you really know that person in the mirror, or have you made that person a figment of your imagination? I need you to ask yourself that question. Do you really know who you're looking at in the mirror, or is it a figment of your imagination? Sometimes we pretend so much that we forget reality. Sometimes we pretend so much that we forget the truth. Sometimes we pretend so much because it keeps us from facing what needs to be faced and dealt with. What do you see in the mirror? I want to tell you what you see. You see you, not me. So many times we have a finger pointing at everybody else, but what do you see? You see you. The natural body, before you even learned about the spiritual transformation, you saw you. Guess what? You saw your body, your facial expressions, your thoughts, your mind, your heart, and let's just round it up into one thing, your life. What do you see when you look in the mirror? Or if you don't see all of those things, do you see what other people have made you to be? People have made you to feel lower than low. People have made you to feel insignificant. People have made you to feel you don't matter. People have made you to feel you are not worth anything. People have made you because of the rejection. And we've carried that stuff over into our adulthood. But there comes a time in life we have to look in the mirror, face reality. That's why even therapy is good, because when you go to therapy, they make you face some things that you probably threw way back and act like. How many of us have gone through things we acted like certain things didn't happen or it wasn't real? Or when people have done things to us, we acted like it, and that's the way we formed it in our mind that, well, they didn't really mean it. It's called giving them benefit of the doubt when a lot of times they did mean it. What do you see in the mirror? So let's start with the body. The first thing we do when we see ourselves in the mirror is our body. And what is the body according to the word of God? A physical body is given to each of us. He created us as a tabernacle for our spirit to fulfill the full measure of our creation. He gave us this body to fulfill his creation. But what were we created for? Our bodies allows each of us to experience the great plan of salvation that God has designed for all of us. Now, we all desire that everybody coming to church will receive God, accept him, and walk in salvation, walk in a perfect life as much as we can do it with God. But reality says it's not going to happen. That's what reality says. You know, my father would get very upset because people were pretending they were hypocrite and they were doing this, doing that. They weren't as faithful as he was. They didn't feel about God the way he did. They didn't love God the way he did. Because I'm going to tell you something, I'm sure there's others out there, but I've never seen nobody love God the way my daddy loved God. He would give his life. But I even told him one day, Daddy, you must understand everybody is not going to be saved in the church. Everybody is not going to be saved. So you have to accept that reality. And you can't get upset because everybody is not going to be saved or is not saved. So he had a hard time, but he finally, literally, I would not lie to you, literally a few months before he passed, he said, LaVel, I see what you're talking about. Because he would get upset at those that weren't faithful, get upset at those didn't really trust God, or those that was just coming to church and not living what they heard. But we have to understand everybody's not going to be there. So we should not allow that to upset us. Because when we look in the mirror, not only do we see us, we see the pain, the frustration, the anxiety that other people have brought into our life. I got enough of my own. Let me deal with mine. You understand, what are you looking at in the mirror? The body is the first thing that you look at. Where in the body does it say give your body to God? Because people say, where's that at? Romans 12:1-2 says, therefore, I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy, to offer your body as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. This is your true and proper worship. You want to know how do I worship God? How do I do that? Let me read it again. Romans 12:1 first. I urge you in God's mercy to offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable unto God, which is your true and proper worship. Then verse 2 says, do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be ye transformed Be ye transformed. Again, this is another part of what you're looking at in the mirror. Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, his pleasing, and perfect will. So sometimes we can't test his will because we're not doing what we should be doing, and we have not allowed God to transform us. So because we have not allowed God to transform us, it's hard for us to know the will of God concerning our life. I think so many times people are so busy trying to change you and transform you and make you be what sometimes not even what they want you to be, but make you be what God wants you to be. But a person has a desire. The person has to have an open ear to hear what you're saying. And sometimes it's not going to happen. So pastors, leaders, ministry leaders, intercessors, don't get bent out of shape when somebody does not conform to the things that God is saying, because everybody is not going to do it. Let's just face reality. It is what it is. But I make sure that I keep myself, as I look in the mirror at me, I put everybody else back here, but I look in the mirror at me and make sure that I am doing God's will. So again, what does your body house? What resides in your body? Let's say that again. First, your body, which the Bible refers to as the temple of God. Your facial expressions. Ooh, we're going to get into that in a minute. Your thoughts, your mind, your heart, and if we put it all under one umbrella, your life. Your life and everything that's in it, everything that's attached to it, everything that you have made it to be, your life. What does God say about our physical bodies? He says in Psalms, he said, in Psalms 139, he said, we are fearfully and wonderfully made. It takes time to make us. 9 months. Sometimes we're evicted from the body from the womb before time. But even then, when you're born and maybe your organs have not formed right or something has not fully developed, then what they would do, they would take care of you and treat you until you get to that point of being fully developed. Sometimes when God is dealing with us and working with us, what happens is that we want to be evicted before God finishes us. He has not finished working with us. He has not finished changing us. He has not finished fine-tuning us, refining us. He has not finished adjusting us. He has not finished developing us. But I can't take no more. Just stay there. I was thinking about a lot of pastors are retiring, and hey, I honor them because when, okay, let me stop and enjoy some things that life has for me and all of this stuff. I admire that. Because sometimes we put so much into certain things, and by the time we're ready to enjoy it, there's no more enjoyment left. And pastors are retiring because of sometimes what they see in the mirror is, you know what? You have done God's will. You have worked this thing. Now let's live. There's a pastor that retired and I'm assuming he's always wanted to do music and things. He's doing what makes him happy. Not that pastoring didn't make him happy. Understand that. But pastoring is for that season. But how many of y'all know seasons move on? And you go from fall. I don't care how much you like fall. Oh, I love fall. Not me, I like summer, but you may say, oh, I love fall, the breeze. You can open the window, get some fresh air. I don't mind putting on a light jacket. But guess what? If you live in Chicago, New York, any of these places that go through, they have 4 seasons, for real. I don't care how much you like fall. Guess what's coming afterwards? Winter is coming after fall. Well, I'm going to wear my light jacket. Winter is coming. No matter how much you like winter, no matter how much you like the cold. My daughter loves the cold. She loves the cold. She even likes the cold in her house. But guess what? She can't stop spring from coming. No matter how much in love you are with spring, you can't stop summer from coming. So there are times in our lives, even if we live in a warm climate, our natural body goes through seasons. So no matter how good this season is to you, and we say, ooh, trouble don't last always. Yeah, the Bible says this too shall pass. It is something we can quote the word we want to. But then when something comes and slam dunks us, we like, oh God, I can't make it. We've got to start speaking those things that be not as though they were. God, I am healed. I am delivered. God, I thank you. This may be a mountain I got to come over, but God, I can't go over it unless you're there with me. Begin to encourage the person that you see in the mirror, because you have been fearfully and wonderfully made. I've said it before. People say my youngest brother and I, we look just like our mother. But guess what? We're three different individuals. My mother had attributes and characteristics I didn't possess. The same with my youngest brother. But yet we all resemble one another. You may resemble something, but you have been fearfully and wonderfully made. You are your own person. Hallelujah. What are the four spiritual bodies? When you think about spirituality and the four bodies that go with that: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. Let's say it again. What are the four spiritual bodies? Physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. So when we make this transformation spiritually and come over into the supernatural part of our life, there comes a time that the physical must adjust, the emotional must adjust, our mental must adjust, and our spiritual part becomes elevated. Why is the body sacred? Oh my God, why is the body sacred? The body is sacred because first, we were created in the image of God. It is to be cared for, this body, and used for good purposes. We mess our body up. We do. We ingest things that are messing with our heart, our lungs, our liver, because it makes us feel good for the moment, or it makes us forget what's going on in our life. Those things are a mask to what we're dealing with. So therefore, we ingest those things that are not good for us. But if I was created in the image of God, I must care for it and use it for good purposes. It ought to be taken care of. This body ought to be taken care of. I've said it before and I'll say it again. The song that says, live in me, Jesus, for I may be the only Jesus that they see. God, live in me. Because people out there looking, they don't see Jesus, but when they see you, they like, oh yeah, you're the closest thing to Jesus I've seen. No, you're not perfect. You're nowhere near him. You're nowhere like him that way. But because they see the way you act, the way you come across, the way you handle situations, they like, wow, yeah, I know Jesus is living in you somewhere, because I wouldn't react like that, or that's not normal. When you say you love everybody, that's not a normal love. That's a God-given love. That's an agape love that comes from him. When you can truly say you love everybody, that means you don't look at their personality. You don't look at their looks. You don't look at their conditions. You don't look at what they're wearing. You don't look at how they treat you. Because why? All of that is covered under the blood that God gave his life for your life, and is covered under the love that he gives unto us. The body is sacred, and therefore we should use it for his glory. Take care of that body, and you use the word of wisdom in doing that. That word have I hid in my heart. Use the word to encourage yourself. We look for people to encourage us, but what about you encouraging yourself? Oh my God. Who are you in the mirror? Look at yourself in the mirror. Have you matured since this is 2023? How about just go back to 2022? Have you grown any? Have you learned any lesson? Some of us are so guarded about because of things that have gone on in our life. We don't feel good about ourselves. We don't like ourselves, but it's not everybody's fault. Only you can correct that. We were rejected when we were little. Our parents didn't treat us right. And we bring that into our adulthood. And what is the saying? Hurt people hurt people. I don't believe people hurt intentionally sometimes. Some do, but some don't. But because we're hurt, we're guarded. We don't allow nobody to break a barrier because I'm afraid of what you're going to do or what you're going to say that might trigger me. We're going to talk about one day the triggers of life that might trigger me. Those things that I've gone through, and now I'm just protective of who I am and what I am, and I'm protective of everything around me and about me, and oh no, ain't nobody gonna do me wrong, and nobody gonna use me like that. Oh no, baby, I would take them down. But the Bible says he that can humble himself is the greatest. If you just look back on your life, how have you grown? Well, I know I've grown because I dealt with some stuff that I wouldn't have dealt with last year. Okay. But you're dealing with it with an attitude. That's not growth. Everything about you should change when you're dealing with stuff. We want to write people off. But you have to stop and think, what if God wrote you off like you're so quick to write everybody else off? Now, when I say write off, I'm talking about in my heart, in my mind. It's kind of like, you hear some people say, oh, they dead to me. I don't even care about them. You still got to care. Now, you may have done something to me. I may never invite you to my house. I may never sit down at a table to eat with you. That doesn't mean that I hate you. I don't like you. I'm going to be careful. But it still has nothing to do with the love I have for you. I love you unconditionally. But majority of the people love on condition. They love you because you're their friend. They love you because they like you. They love you because, we've known each other 40 plus years. They love you because you grew up together. They love you because your mothers and your parents were best friends. That kind of love is based on condition. But God said he loves us. He don't have no conditions. He said, I forgive you. I love you. I look beyond all of your faults and I see your needs. That's what he's saying. But we don't do that. But we have to. Now, it does not mean I have to go back and, just welcome you. No. Because sometimes things come to teach us a lesson. Let me learn my lesson and keep it moving. What I do or don't do has nothing to do with the love I have for you. Nothing. Things we do from our heart. A lot of times we do things from our heart has nothing to do with God. I told somebody, I said, my heart has changed in a lot of aspects of what I used to do and go to the extreme. You take people on trips and you do this for them. You sometimes pay bills. Sometimes you're just a blessing to them. And those are the ones that you got to be careful, because when that happens, your heart will begin to accept those things and begin to turn it black. Your heart will begin to define their status and placement in your life. We must be careful and guard our heart. So people, we've done things that we've done for people, how we've gone out of our way for people, we still have to love them. That don't mean I'm going to do it again. Let's get that right. No, it doesn't. I've changed a lot. And somebody said, well, so what would you do if God says that that's a different, this has nothing to do with God. I'm talking about me. I've changed a lot. So if I desire to do something and God's like, I didn't tell you to pay their bill. Why you upset at them because you paid it and they didn't appreciate it? Why you upset at them? God said, I didn't tell you to pay it. If God spoke to me and said, do this, do that, then I'll do it. But I have changed because I must protect this heart. Again, I say it all the time, out of the heart flows the issues of life. Who do you see in the mirror? Who you looking at? How you looking? Do you feel good about yourself? Sometimes we got to stay away from people that cause us to neglect our own self. There are people in our life that will make you neglect who God has called you to be. There are people in our life that will make us neglect and pretend to be something that we're not. There are people in our lives that I know where to put you. I know your assignment and I know your placement. But it does not mean, because see, I don't understand when you say you're a child of God, but you can walk past somebody and not speak. You can walk into a room and not speak. You pray for certain people, but that person, you skip over their name to pray for. But you say you're a child of God. What if the person you see in the mirror, God decides, I'm not going to bless them today. What if God desires, he makes a decision. You know, they're not what I created them to be. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm not going to bless them. They've been praying and praying. I'm not going to do it. What if? So that's the kind of spirit you have to take when it comes to man. My blessings may be contingent upon how I treat my brothers and sisters. Hallelujah. My breakthrough may be contingent on how I treat my brothers and sisters. And I'm not talking about my biological man, woman, the human body, the human beings, the people that are connected to me, whether it's through good or bad, through family or friendship, through relationship or fellowship. God wants us to look at the man in the mirror. Y'all, excuse me, my sinuses are draining. But we want to look at the man in the mirror, and we must make a decision. It's for God I live and for God I die. We've got to learn how to treat everybody, hallelujah, everybody right. We got to learn how to do that, people. We have to learn how to treat everybody right. It's a must that we treat people the way the Bible even says. We're to treat people the way we want to be treated. So if you walk in a room and don't speak to somebody, why are you upset because somebody's not speaking to you? Why? Why are you upset because somebody's not speaking to you? I don't get it. It doesn't hurt anybody to walk in the room and say, hello, how are you? It doesn't mean I have to have a full conversation with you, but I'm doing unto you what I would like for people to do back to me. But the first thing we do is that we don't speak. And then because we don't speak, now we're upset because I walked in the room and they didn't say nothing to me. How about the many times you didn't say anything to them? When I see children, I say, speak, just say hello. I don't know them. What does that have to do with anything? You speak. Now, let's spend these last few minutes, because this is going to be a series. What do you see in the mirror? So we're not going to just rush through it real quick all in tonight's lesson. Facial expressions is part of what you house in this body. This. Facial expressions. Where in the Bible does it say don't look at their faces? And this is for us that come before people. God has given us something to do, and well, they didn't look at me right, and they didn't, and I saw how they were looking at me, and I'm done. But he said in Jeremiah, be not afraid of their faces, for I am with thee to deliver thee, saith the Lord. Be not afraid of their faces, for I am with thee, saith the Lord. Which means if I'm doing what God has given me to do, or even if I'm doing something that I'm teaching, I apply that scripture to every phase of my life. If I'm in my classroom and I'm teaching, if I'm talking to someone, I can't allow your face to disturb me. I often think about, I tell people who we talk about preaching. Let me tell you something. If preachers can tell you what they see, people think they fooling you. You say something over the pulpit and they nudging the neighbor, or they got to look like they don't agree with you, or they're sitting there like, and because you got a church and people out there more than them, they don't think you see them. But if you know what people are saying or looking, you have to not be afraid and look past their expression or their demeanor or their action toward you and keep on with it. Because when you don't look past that, you're allowing them to live in here and they're not paying any rent. You're allowing them to disturb your peace. Sometimes people don't mean to do that. That's their action. But I am not responsible for your action. I can only be accountable for mine. Be not afraid of their faces, Jeremiah 1:8. For I am with thee to deliver thee. Then what do facial expressions represent? You can read how somebody feels, what they think, even about people by their facial expressions. I have been in church and I could tell when someone doesn't care for somebody, because when that person gets up to do something or say something or just walk by you, or you spot them across the sanctuary or in the hallway, the lobby or whatever, you can tell how they feel about that person by their facial expressions. This here tells it all. This here says it all. Facial expressions can display personal emotions, and they can indicate one's intention. They are extremely important to how you interact with people. Sometimes people stay away from you because of your facial expression. I've heard people say, so-and-so, they're not really approachable. It means that your facial expression, your actions toward people, your eyebrows going up, your eyes get, or whatever the case may be. My father used to have this thing that when he would be in church, and when I say this man loved God, I don't say it because he's my daddy, I say it because it's the truth. But he just had a thing with people that played with God, and I said, Daddy, everybody's not going to be like you. Just accept that. I mean, that's the only thing you can do is accept it. So if someone came in and he figured they're not that faithful, they don't really serve God like they should, when they walk in the door, and if any old members is looking at this, they can say, they can back me up and support me on that. The minute the person walk in, he'd be like, that lip will poke out and kind of twist slightly to the right. And I said, Daddy, people can see that. He was not even aware that it was that noticeable. He was not aware of that until I said, Daddy, we're going to ask a few people. And I asked a few people to have a relationship with. I said, what does my daddy do when he see people and maybe he doesn't agree with something? Not that he don't like us. He's paid rent. He's paid for weddings. He's paid for reception. He's done a whole lot. That never stopped him from doing that. And they said, oh, your daddy will twist up his lip. And finally, when somebody else, I said, tell him what he done. And he said, I do. He was unaware of what he did. So sometimes when he would do it, he would look at me across the church and he had to smile, and he would now he had a fake smile because the smile wasn't even real. But I brought it to his attention. Facial expressions tell a lot about how we feel about ourselves and about others. You can tell sometimes when people are going through because their facial expression shows, I'm in a dark season, I'm going through. But I'm just going to try to help you out right here. Everybody don't have to be like me. Everybody won't do it to the extreme that I do it. But I've learned when I don't give people the satisfaction of knowing they've gotten to me, it may hurt. Come on, people. But the facial expression says, you are not going to hurt me. The facial expression says, I am not going down that road. I've seen people that have dogged me out, talked about me, and did whatever, lied on me, mistreated me, used me. But you know what? When I see them, I'm like, hey, how you doing? It confuses the devil. Hallelujah. It confuses the enemy. Because what they wanted me to do is to react according to what they dished out to me, and I didn't give them that satisfaction. I smiled, and the smile was genuine. Because you could tell you all have to just excuse all of this going on up in here. But you have to understand is that, no, I was not going to satisfy their emotions. Oh, no, baby. I'm going to smile. And it was a genuine smile. Because sometimes people say, well, you ought to smile. We know good and well that is the tightest smile you have ever done, and it's not real. Ask God to help you to deal genuinely with people. Ask God to help you love genuinely. What do you see in that mirror? If your family is honest with you, they will tell you. Sometimes, I'm kind of changing that. Sometimes I've played around, and that's just my personality. But I realize everybody is not in the playing mood. So I changed that. I had to critique that. I had to redefine that. I had to adjust that. I can go in a room, and first of all, when I walk in the room, I'm usually going to be quiet, especially if I don't know anybody, because that's just me. But you have some people, they have to make it themselves known when they walk in the room. They loud. They want everybody, I'm here. I've arrived. But are you pleased with who you are? Are you pleased with what you have become? Let me put it like that. Are you pleased with what God has made you? It's so funny how we will teach, we will preach, we will talk. But a lot of the times we're talking to ourselves. And I admit it. Sometimes when I'm preaching, my toes start curling up in my shoes. I'm like, oh, that part right there went straight to me. And went to others too. But you preach first to yourself. Our facial expressions are who we are and who we have become. What's wrong with you? Nothing. Oh, well, then I hope your day tomorrow is better than today. Because today, your facial expression is saying your life is spiraling out of control or going down. But can you laugh through it all? My God. I was, when my mom passed, that wasn't the best day of my life. It was the worst day. When my dad passed, the worst day. My grandmother, the worst day. But I had to smile through it. I had to tell people, thank you for coming. I appreciate it. And I remember when my dad passed, my mother and I, we were getting ready to walk down the aisle of the church. Over 1,000 people was at the funeral. We're going to walk down the aisle to the church. And my mother said, I'm sorry, my grandmother was deceased by then. My mother said, LaVel, be strong, be strong. We got to be strong for the people. I looked at her and I was holding her hand. I said, be strong for who? The people. I said, that was my daddy. I don't have to be strong. If I want to cry, I'm going to cry. Now, I'm not going to make up no tears. But if I want to cry, I'm going to cry. I didn't have to holler and act out because you know what? I know I was the best daughter that my daddy could have had. I was the best. And I brag and boast on that right now. My mother, when she had dementia in her last few days, about a week before she passed, well, less than a week because she really wasn't talking them last few days, she looked at me and out of the clear blue, she looked at me and she said, you are the best daughter I got. And I looked, I said, oh, thank you. My tears came to my eyes. I said, wait a minute. I'm the only daughter you got. And, you know, I laughed it off. She wasn't in a place to laugh like that because she said it just as fast as she said it, it left her. But I said, wait, I'm the only daughter you got. And I leaned over and kissed on the forehead. I said, thank you, Mother. I'm glad because I was glad to hear that part. Even if it went out on in the airway later, I heard it. Our facial expressions are important and we walk around and therefore people say we're not approachable and then we want to get mad because they didn't approach us. Or you have to, first of all, put yourself in a position to be respected in your position, in your call, in your assignment. That was deep right there. Let me say it again. I mean, you know, I said it before, but put yourself in a position to be respected in your position, in your assignment, in your call, or what God has for you. Put yourself in a position to be respected. Because people are quick to disrespect. And then if you disrespect me, I'll tell you. I won't get upset at you. There was somebody who used to call me a nickname. I won't say the name because people know. But they used to call me a nickname. Not a bad name. That was just their little term of endearment. But it wasn't a bad name at all. We didn't play like that. But they would call, hey, you know. And so once our relationship changed and it wasn't like it used to be, when I would see them, they would still call me that name. And if I was around other people that didn't know them, people looking, they would say, oh, don't worry, I've been calling her this for years. That's the way we get down like that, you know. Now and like I said, it wasn't a bad name at all. It was a nickname. It wasn't a disrespectful name at all. So let me put that out there. But finally I told them, and it didn't change the way I treated them. I never ignored them. I never dogged them out. I always spoke, but I told them. I said, well, let me say this to you. And I told them privately. I said, please, don't call me that anymore. I said, because our relationship is not like that anymore. And because our relationship is not like that anymore, I'm not allowing you to refer to me like that. And they're like, oh, okay, I'm sorry. I said, so just call me pastor. Just do that. Your facial expressions are important. What are 7 facial expressions? You know the main 7. Happiness, surprise, contempt, sadness, fear, disgust, and anger. Let me say it again. What are 7 facial expressions? Happiness, surprise, contempt, sadness, fear, disgust, and anger. So a lot of times you can read somebody's facial expressions and what is going on in their life and where they are and what season they're in by their facial expressions. What is the most important facial expression? That it is your eyes. That's why when you go into a courtroom, they don't allow you to wear sunglasses, tinted glasses, unless there is a medical reason. The eyes are often viewed as important features of your facial expression. You know, people say, oh, I could read it in your eyes. I could tell in your eyes what's going on. I have a cousin that when she's hearing something, she starts doing this. And that means she's getting ready to cry. I'm like, girl. But her expression and her eyes have told me what's going on. She is about to cry and them eyes go to blinking real fast. We're not going to finish this today. We're going to come back. But what do you see in the mirror? Today we talked about the first thing we see is our body. Our body is the temple of God, and we're to treat it just as that. And then we talked about the facial expressions, and we didn't finish the facial expressions. We are going to finish next time. But how important this is. So you want to know why people don't like you. You want to know why people don't respect you. Well, you want to know why people don't approach you. Because a lot of times they're reading what you are putting out. I want you to think about those things that I've said in this lesson. And begin to ask God to help you to change. Because you can't go into certain positions that God has for you unless you change. Because people can make you or break you, believe me. They could say things about you that would build you up in front of people. They could say things that would tear you down. They could make or break you. I encourage you to look in the mirror, take a long look, and you decide what needs to be changed. So right now we're talking about the body and the facial expressions. What do I need to change in what I see? What do I need to change in my facial expressions? When somebody walks by, my eyes go up, my eyebrows touch the forehead. My mouth pokes out. I told somebody the other day, I said, what are you upset at? They said, no, they weren't upset at me. No, it was a child. I said, what are you upset at? Nothing. I said, yes, you are. Well, how you know? I said, because your bottom lip is poked out. Your lip ain't out that far. And they said, well, I'm sleepy. You are not sleepy with that lip poked out. You may have found out they were upset. You know how children do because they don't get what they want. They were upset at the parent. I encourage you to change what's in the mirror. I thank you for listening. I pray that no word I have said has fallen on deaf ear. And I need you. I asked you to do it in the beginning, but if you join me later, share this right now. Put this on your Facebook page. Go to YouTube. It's also on YouTube. You can send a YouTube to somebody. Share this with them. Because it's important we work on us. We so busy trying to work on everybody else. Work on me, Jesus. Do it for me, God. And I promise you, you have not seen the best yet. But as we go through life and start changing, the best is being prepared and molded with our name on it. We want to do better, but we're going to do better that we can get to the best. Thank you for joining me. Now is your time. Not to let that facial expression show how you feel about giving. Ooh. Now's the opportunity for you to be a blessing. When you give to this ministry, it falls on good soil ground. Good soil. And it fertilizes the ground. This is your opportunity to give. Do it right now. Because if I get off of here, you might forget. Give. So you got two things to do right now. Share this video, this Facebook Live on your page, or go to YouTube and send it to somebody, and also to give. You can't beat God giving no matter how you try. I invite you to do that right now. Don't forget I Love Me on Purpose conference. July is coming quick, fast, and in a hurry. I thank you for all of you that have paid to be a part of it. You will be better for it. You will be blessed. I thank you for all of my speakers that are coming, my guest artists that's coming, and that we can work on our bodies and work on our mind and work on total healing for our whole person. Because I want to be a whole person. I don't want to operate in halves. I don't want to operate in fourths. I want to operate as a whole person. So again, the I Love Me on Purpose conference, and as you look at the flyer, it's July 20th through the 22nd. But you need to take care of your obligation now if you would like to go, because you don't want to miss out, and then we're sold out and we're on our way there. So I encourage you right now, July 20th to the 22nd, go to the ilovemeonpurpose.com, our website, and all of the information is on there. After a while, they will be releasing the block of rooms we have. We had a block of rooms. They added to that because that block was gone, and we invite you to call and make your go on Brushfire right now, and that is on our website. If you go to our website, everything you need to do, you can do it through the website, and make your hotel reservation, pay for your registration fee. If you're a vendor and you're an entrepreneur, this is your opportunity to get your name out there amongst people that may have never heard of you. And I want you to know the vendors we had last year when we were in Atlanta for the conference, oh my God, those vendors said how blessed they were. And I believe you will be blessed. And guess what? We're not charging your arm and a leg. It's only $75. So pay that $75. Become a vendor, pay your registration fee, make your hotel reservation. But we also have a souvenir book. There are some people that said, I can't come, but I want to make a contribution, a donation, and I want to tell I Love Me on Purpose to keep on keeping on. You can give a donation toward the souvenir book, and then your name will go on the souvenir book. So we invite you to look into all of those things that we have to offer. We invite you to God's House of All Nations Church, 84th and Stony Island. You will see that up also. For in person is only every first and third Sunday. Every first and third Sunday. But let me make this announcement. The month of April. See, we have to mentally prepare ourselves. Because when you're used to first and third Sunday, believe me, that's what you're used to. And that it is what it is. But in April, we're having 4 services because it's 5 Sundays. We have first Sunday and third, which is our normal services. But we're having second Sunday service, which is Easter. And then our 5th Sunday praise and worship is in April also. So you have 4 Sunday off. But come on, we can give that extra to God. We want him to bless us and open up doors for us. It is no problem with us giving extra. So I'm telling you now, acclimate your mind. 4 Sundays in April, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, and then the 5th Sunday that we will be in service. I look forward to seeing you there. I pray God's blessings upon you and that you will continue to operate and flow in the favor of God. God bless you. Don't forget to share and sow that seed. God bless you. Well, the time has come for our I Love Me on Purpose 2023 conference. This year, it will be held at the Hilton Resorts in Oak Brook, Illinois. So we need you to save the date, July the 20th to the 22nd, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Remember this, it is me in 2023. It is time for you to move to the front of the line. Everybody and everything else has been in front of you, but change your position and move to the front of the line. Now is the time for you to understand your life is about you first. For more information about the I Love Me 2023 conference, go to our website, ilovemeonpurpose.com. When you go to that website, you will get all the information you need. Plus, you'll begin to learn more about what I Love Me on Purpose is about. You can register. You can do your hotel reservations. You can also get vendor information. If you're an entrepreneur, you want to be a vendor, it will open you up to many people that can purchase from you and put your name out there even more. Vendor information is on there. Also, we have a souvenir book that's going to be available to everybody that attends and beyond. You can buy an ad, you can become a patron, and whatever your need is, you can put that in the book and it will go into the hands of many people. Do it today. Go to our website, ilovemeonpurpose.com. There's an announcement coming soon about our speakers, our workshop facilitators, and our guest artists. So that's coming soon. But right now, all you need to know is the date, July 20th to the 22nd. Come on and join me. I hope to see you there. And don't you forget this. You